Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, Boruto Chapter 65 predictions. This right here is definitely going to be a very good chapter. And to be honest, this right here may actually be the most important chapter ever since we did actually get to see Ishiki Otsuki versus Baara and Naruto. But the first thing that I definitely do have to talk about has to be Kawaki and Code. Now specifically, Kawaki and Code, they're in a certain situation right now where essentially it's kind of awkward because Kawaki understands that he's not necessarily able to beat Code, and Code's main enemy was Boruto, and Boruto had already passed out. Now they're in this very small window of where Code can actually take Kawaki back to his dimension and just leave. But we do understand that Naruto is on the way, and it doesn't necessarily take Naruto that much time to actually get there. I've said this on multiple occasions. I don't think that Code is going to take Kawaki and go to the other dimension just for storyline reasons. I think a Naruto versus Code fight has been on the precipice for a very long time, and of course they are on a collision course to meet in Chapter 65, so that right there is just what I personally am expecting. But one of the things that we do have to understand is that Code still does have a goal. His goal as of right now isn't necessarily to kill Naruto. Even though Code does want his revenge, he has to take it very slowly and understands that Naruto plus his backup would probably be a little bit too much for Code to actually handle. So of course him potentially taking Kawaki and leaving may actually be the smart decision for Code, but of course I just personally don't think that's going to happen. Now I will get into that battle a little bit later on in the video. One of the things that I definitely do have to point out is that Kawaki in the past chapter did actually have a change of heart. Originally he wanted to go with Code to actually meet Ida. Now he doesn't really know Ida is actually the person that he wants to meet. He just understands that Code is actually taking orders and he wants to meet whoever's giving the orders to Code. But in the last chapter he himself said that he does not want to go with Code anymore, and he believes that Boruto can actually beat Code right then and there because he's seen Boruto with the second stage of the Karma Seal. But now that Boruto had passed out, I don't really know if this means that Kawaki is now going to be more willing to go with Code to the other dimension. Hypothetically, if he is not willing to actually go with Code to the other dimension, I think it'll be a done deal at that particular point. Don't get me wrong, I think that Code can absolutely beat Kawaki in a 1v1, but I think that Kawaki definitely does have the skill set to actually stall Code at least for a little while until Naruto gets there, then they themselves actually do battle. But hypothetically, if Kawaki changes his mind again and then decides to actually go with Code, then I can see a situation of where Code actually just takes Kawaki and then we never actually get to see the Naruto versus Code battle. Now there has been another important theory that I have actually flirted with over the past couple of months, and it's essentially Code trying to make a play at Amado. I just want to explain this real quick. Naruto is essentially leaving the village. Sasuke is not inside of the village, and Amado is inside of the village. Now in the last chapter, Shikamaru specifically said that Sai was protecting Amado. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Sai, and I say this with Konohamaru as well, not comparing Sai to Konohamaru because let's keep it a G, Sai would destroy Konohamaru, but that's besides the point. We have to understand limits. Sai is a strong character, but he's not on Code's limit. Now hypothetically, if Sasuke is out of the village, Naruto's out of the village, and Code gets the bright idea like, hey, I have marks on the outside of the Hidden Leaf Village. I can easily infiltrate the Hidden Leaf Village because Naruto and Sasuke and Boruto and Kawaki, the potential 4 powerhouses, have already left the Hidden Leaf Village. No one will be able to stop Code from actually getting to Amado. And of course, the big ace in Code's pocket right now is going to be the fact that he has Ida essentially telling him exactly where everything is. Ida's dojutsu essentially gives her the ability to see exactly where everything is, and I'm pretty sure right now she knows exactly where Amado is, and she can actually lead Code directly to Amado to potentially lift the limiter. Now of course I know a lot of you guys know exactly what the limiter is, but I do have a feeling that some of you guys don't know exactly, so I'm going to take a solid 5 to 10 seconds to explain it real quick. Code right now has a limiter. He was limited by Amado because he was too powerful to be in the Kado organization. Without the limiter, Code is stronger than Jigen, which means that Code without the limiter would easily be able to destroy everybody in the Hidden Leaf Village without a wimp. It would be absolutely annihilation. So him getting to Amado would be horrible. One of the things that I do have to say against this theory is that the storyline just doesn't lend itself to that, and I say this for a very important reason. Hypothetically, if Code actually does something like that, it would essentially mean that Code, someone who Amado actually said isn't necessarily that smart, it would essentially mean that Code kind of outsmarted the Hidden Leaf Village, and not only the Hidden Leaf Village, more specifically Shikamaru Nara. We understand that Shikamaru has 200 IQ. Shikamaru right now is essentially running hand in hand with Naruto outside of the Hidden Leaf Village. And of course, if Code outsmarts Shikamaru, it would essentially be a huge referendum against Shikamaru and mean that Shikamaru is kind of falling off. We already seen Shikamaru kind of get fondled mentally with the Amado situation, mainly because when Amado came to the Hidden Leaf Village, he had everybody in the palm of his hands. I just can't really see Code doing something like that with Shikamaru as well. But of course, we do have to understand that Shikamaru wasn't necessarily completely in control of the situation. Naruto would have probably left either way, but I still do find it a little bit flawed that Shikamaru didn't necessarily tell Naruto about the possibility of Code invading the Hidden Leaf Village when Naruto and everybody else is outside the Hidden Leaf Village. That right there is just my main problem with this entire theory. Again, the storyline just doesn't lead itself to Code actually invading the Hidden Leaf Village when Naruto and Sasuke are outside of the Hidden Leaf Village. Right now, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I definitely do have to point out it's 100% a possibility. There is that question of if Sasuke is actually going to pull up on Code and potentially fight Code as well, potentially even alongside Naruto. At this particular point, I don't really think so. I think if there is going to be a fight, I think a 1v1 versus Naruto and Code would probably be the ideal fight. Now, don't get me wrong, I think just by scaling, Code would probably have the upper hand, but I believe that a fight just 1v1 with Naruto would definitely be a very, very impactful scene, especially him without Karma. And I'll get into that a little bit later. I think one of the things that we do have to talk about before we get into that actual battle has to be Boruto, because Boruto as of right now is passed out. We don't know exactly what's wrong with Boruto, and I believe that's going to be highlighted in the next chapter. But the interesting thing about Boruto is that in his K2 form of the Karma Seal, he essentially was matching Code, and I say that very, very nicely because I counted the blows in the last chapter. Boruto successfully landed 4 blows and Code only successfully landed 1 blow. You can potentially raise that to 2 if you guys count the fact that he destroyed one of Boruto's shadow clones. I don't really count that, but regardless, either way you look at it, Boruto was still up on the scoreboard. So if Boruto potentially wakes up in the next chapter and sees that Naruto is fighting Code, if Boruto jumps in that battle, I think that Code would be at a significant disadvantage. So of course, a lot of the next chapter is essentially riding on if Boruto actually does wake up from whatever he did go down from. And of course, what specifically did he go down from? Is it because of the Karma Seal? Is it because of the pills? We have absolutely no idea. Now, not only that, because Boruto right now is passed out, there's a possibility that Code also takes Boruto. We talked about the possibility of Code just taking Kawaki and going back to his own dimension, but because Boruto right now is passed out, because he is incapacitated, because he can't really defend himself, he could potentially take Boruto and lock him up in some sort of Otsutsuki prison or scientific ninja tech prison that completely restrains Boruto. You never know. Regardless, Code's actions before Naruto gets there is going to be absolutely critical and pivotal to the overall storyline of Boruto. Now, to get into the Naruto versus Code thing, I think this right here is going to be very important, as I said earlier, because it's going to be the first time that Naruto is fighting without Karma. It has been a debate ever since he lost Karma if Naruto actually still has Sage of 6 Paths mode. I've kind of been wrestling with it myself. I originally thought that of course he would still have it, then I kind of thought he might not have it. Now I really just don't know, and of course we're not necessarily going to know fully and truly until we get to see Naruto in a flat out 1v1 battle versus a character he's semi-even with or flat out weaker than. Of course, Code would be one of the best opponents for that, to bring out the best in Naruto. Now, obviously, he's not necessarily in Sage of 6 Paths mode right now. We understand that Naruto a lot of times doesn't really go into the fight straight off of it in 100% peak performance. For example, when Momoshiki invaded the Chunin exam, he was in base. He tried to attack Ishiki Otsutsuki in base. He tried to attack Jigen in base. A lot of times, he is just in base, and of course, that's how it goes with Naruto. Now, obviously, later on in the chapter, obviously if they have a long-standing fight, we could potentially see Naruto potentially try to raise it up to whatever his peak is. Is going to be some other form of the Sage mode? Is it going to be Sage of 6 Paths mode? This right here is what we want to see. Now, not only that, we also seen Boruto, K2 Boruto versus Code. We've seen how Boruto stacked up versus Code, and I talked about how Boruto seemed like he had the upper hand, but you never know. If Naruto completely destroys Code, we know where Boruto stands with Naruto, and vice versa. If Naruto gets absolutely washed by Code, we then know where Boruto stands with Naruto again. It would essentially be a very, very good scale to see exactly who's stronger, Boruto or Naruto, because they're going to be fighting against the same opponent, and they roughly have the same skill set. Obviously, Naruto is a lot more refined and it has a lot more jutsus, but their core things are kind of similar, so it'd be a very good one-to-one comparison to see exactly who is stronger. But regardless, this chapter is going to be an absolute banger in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about this chapter in the comment section below, and give me some of your predictions about what you guys expect to see in the next chapter. This right here is going to be absolutely amazing. Again, By this time, I really hope the spoilers did not come out, but the spoilers of this chapter is supposed to be coming out any day now, probably tomorrow, probably the day after tomorrow. You never know. But it's me, your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.